start from the beginning. Welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Nickie Robbs, a local real estate agent in the Tacoma and Puyallup area, but sometimes I go to Bremerton and Seattle, so you never know. Just ask nicely. And with me today is Kirsten Stewart from Suburban Realty, which is actually a property management company, and it's been in the family since it's been going on since 1949. Okay, I was going to say 47, but then it's also it's just an established business here in the Tacoma Spanaway area. There's been generations of people working for it, and you have been with it for quite a long time yourself.
13 years.
Woohoo!
So,
yay!
Third generation, but
Yeah.
and now we're family owned, but now we're woman owned.
Ooh, family
So
and woman owned.
That's new. It's
That's
always
fabulous.
been man owned, man run, and now you get me.
Yeah.
So,
Yay. So we're talking today about how to get started in investments and having properties and having investment properties that actually make money, and why property management is an incredible asset that you really should consider from the beginning. Because I grew up with my mom, who may listen to this, hi mom, having properties and rentals, and she would do all the work and the rent collection as well as evictions if they were necessary, and it just made me not want to have any part of that. But now it's a great way to build wealth and passive income, and also provide housing for someone that you may love. So how can we make this easier for everybody?
you are such a common story though too, because all these people, they have rental homes, and the kids, they're like, this is a lot of work, we don't want to do it. And so that's where I come in, and so I make it easy for everybody.
Great.
So
Help make it easy.
yeah.
So how would we get started with, obviously talk to an agent and talk to your lender about finding the right property for you that makes financial sense, that makes good location sense. And then what other tips do you have for what do we do?
Well, if you're just looking to get into it, and you're a first time home buyer, and you're willing to be an owner occupied for an investment. So to me, that means duplex. I love duplexes. I wish there were more of them, honestly. I'm biased because that was my first property that I ever bought, was a duplex.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the whole, I think they're a little bit romanticized because people like me love them so much. But, sometimes people might say, like, one side will pay the mortgage. It won't pay the whole mortgage.
Not perfectly.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it used to, but in my 13 years of experience, it has not. But it will help offset the mortgage much more. And so it's still good income, it's good write-offs. And that is what made me feel financially secure, was purchasing a duplex. So that was my financial security.
And then you can redirect some of that money, because some of your mortgage is taken care of. And you can adjust your budget into doing other things and working for you in different ways.
Yes.
Like having a property manager.
Yes. Obviously.
Of course.
Or at least some assistance,
Yeah.
So property managers, we don't have to be there from A to Z. That's really my ideal client, would be someone that needs help fully. But there are property managers that will help with just the placement. So if you just need help getting that initial term, you get set up in the right way. You get good tenants, you get good screening, you get good rental contracts, and then you can get it passed back to you. So then, first time home buyers and first time investors might not be able to afford that monthly amount that we have to charge.
Right.
So
it is so important that you've got someone following the laws for screening and rental agreements.
Yes.
So you got to find someone who does that. Don't just handshake it. I like the look of you. I like the car you drive. You sound like a good person. That's not good screening. Don't do that.
No. The car you drive absolutely has no effect on if you're a good tenant or not, because how many people overspend or underspend, but maybe taking a little peek inside might be a good thing to do.
That's a good tip. How clean is that car?
So, but that is obviously not in place of screening, because my car is really messy. So.
So this might be a little hint to my young adult friends and followers and my kids' friends, like, clean your car. It matters.
I've heard multiple people before we've taken over management say, well, I would used to always look in the car to see how it looked. So it does happen.
It does. Awesome. So if they've gone through the hoop of, I can afford this, I like the location, my lender says we're good to go, my agent is going to help me make sure that we get it for a good price and all of that stuff, then what happens next?
Well, let's back up a little bit to, can I afford this?
Yes.
I'd like to talk about that a little bit more because I think it's so important. Because you think, can I afford this? I get this much rent. I can afford it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about, maintenance, vacancy.
Yeah.
That really affects your cash flow so much. So if you're thinking, can I afford this? You really should factor in about 70% of your rental income. And so you're thinking, okay, can I afford this on 70%?
Okay.
Every month.
Yeah.
And that's a good average. Because you are going to get your rent most months. That's why we do this, but there is more risk than there was before with different things that have happened recently in our real estate market, rental market. So if you factor that in and you have to think, okay, can I afford this? Do I have financial flexibility? Mm-hmm. That's what I call that. If I don't get the rent paid on time, can I float the mortgage?
Yeah.
If the tenants are leaving, can I float that mortgage for 3, 4, 5 months? Mm-hmm. It's not typical. You don't buy a rental thinking I'm gonna pay for this for 5 months at a time. But you just need that flexibility, because if you have that stress of, I can't do this, this is too much for me, then it's not going to be a good experience for anybody.
Yeah.
So I think that affordability is a really key piece, and to really think about that, because I think sometimes it is romanticized a little bit.
Yeah. So we're not just looking at the mortgage, can I charge enough rent to cover the mortgage, but we're also looking at that mortgage and the rent and how that plays out with maintenance and vacancies and everything else. And so talking to a professional would be like, no, we have to have much more margin than you were thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe getting a realistic rent estimate too.
Yeah. And what is the going rent? And then that is going to vary by location, quality, size of.
Because I bet you've been asked so many times, what does a 3-bedroom go for in Tacoma?
Oh my gosh.
You can't answer that.
There's 7 prices. Which one? I don't know.
Exactly. So, and being realistic, not being optimistic, because I think sometimes people think they're comparing apples and oranges and they don't even realize it, because they just don't know the rental market as well.
Yeah.
Apartments are different than condos, are different than single family homes, are different from duplexes. Small apartments versus luxury apartments. So, I mean, there's huge variances.
Yeah. Is it just this isn't even any of the questions we asked, but is there a difference in side-by-side duplexes on Ramblers versus 2-story? I would think there's not, but does it come down to square footage?
To me, there's always this old school mentality that Rambler's better. I love Ramblers. I want Ramblers.
Okay.
So I have that too. But when you're talking about a duplex, that goes back to your ideal tenant. So when you're purchasing a home, you're thinking, who am I going to be renting this to?
Yeah. And
so when you're looking at a 2-story versus a 1-story, who is going to be my tenant for this property?
Yes.
So, typically younger, but not necessarily, because my duplex that I bought is a 2-story. It's a 2-bed, 1.5 bath on each side with a 1-car garage. I have not had a problem renting it to a little bit older people, and they stay forever too.
Okay.
So, but there, eventually people do have to move out because of age and physical ability, which to me, if you're buying maybe an older duplex, maybe a converted house with narrow, that would be more limiting than a traditional intentionally planned duplex.
Yeah.
So those are
things to consider.
Yeah.
When hopefully you get a chance to physically walk through it. Hopefully.
Well, that's a whole other story.
Yeah,
but there's another podcast
that's
for that.
Another one. We're not going to go there because that's the whole thing.
So.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about who am I going to rent to, it'd be great to have that person or that group of people in mind already when you're looking at, I'm thinking about this property, I'm thinking about charging this much rent, this is who my target market is. And whether that's, young adults with their first full paying job, that's a good job, or, right? Families that are okay, we're combining households and this is our 2-income household and we're just getting started getting out of an apartment. We just want a yard for a dog. Okay, great. or whether it's we're retiring and we don't want to deal with maintenance anymore.
I would say, and that's exactly what you need to think about is, okay, and it could be flexible. You know, maybe each property you have a different ideal tenant, but is that the tenant you want?
Yeah.
Because when you're speaking to some of these smaller units, 1-bedroom studio, you know, you probably will get, it kind of like you get a dichotomy there. You get the young people who are just getting out, it's their first place.
Yeah.
You know, they can afford it. Or is it somebody that's downsizing, they're older, that's all they can afford because they're retiring.
Yeah.
And so you just got to figure out, like, okay, who is my ideal tenant?
Yeah.
My ideal tenant generally is at least in their second or third rental. They've gone through the process before. So they've moved in and moved out of at least 1 or 2 places before they move into my place.
Is that because then you have what's that word?
Rental history.
Rental history, thank you. And there's references, legitimate references to call.
And references are the least reliable screening.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Because it's not concrete. Credit is the most concrete. You can't fake credit.
Okay, yeah.
You can't fake payment history.
Right.
But the reason why I would like you to be a repeat renter is because you've gone through the process before. So at move out, you already know what's expected of you. So you know, what do I need to clean? Yeah. What am I going to be charged for? What's a reasonable charge? Because our contractors charge $80, $90, $100 an hour. And so when you're a first time renter and you're like, oh, it's just a hole in the wall, or oh, it's just this, you don't realize the 3-day process to patch a hole in sheetrock.
Yeah.
And so it adds up so fast that first time renters, you know, we rent them all the time. We love them. There's a place.
Yes.
You know, they're great. But there's just an unrealistic expectation a lot of times for some of that move out stuff. Yeah. So kind of, you either need to be ready to handhold or, you know, or maybe just spelling that out a little bit more clearly to them. But, you know, that's a challenge that I've seen repeatedly. And so I know that's going to be a challenge for all first-time renters. And it's just part of growing up and part of getting experience. And that's
part of realizing what your deposit is for. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we, actually in my company, we really try not to allow tenants to pre-use their deposit.
Ooh, yes.
And so they think, oh, my blinds are broken. My deposit will cover it. There's a hole in the wall. My deposit will cover it. Oof. We actually try to address that early on because it goes so fast. Yeah. So,
yeah, and from the outside, it looks like we're paying so much for that deposit. Yeah, it's actually super needed.
It's very needed, and it goes so fast. Yeah, because it's just almost, you know, you try your best to clean, but people always run out of time. Yeah, they just always do. We all do. Anyone that moved, you've moved before, we all know.
It doesn't matter if you're moving to a new house or to a new apartment. No one wants to clean when all your stuff is gone.
Yeah, and so
I want to be in my new place.
You know, it takes longer than you think. Okay, I can get this all done in one day, and then you know what? It just takes longer. So carpet cleaning and cleaning, it just always need to do it. Yeah, and so that's almost half your deposit a lot of times. You know, so it just goes so fast.
It just does. Yeah. So as we're getting started, what's the benefits? What are some pros and cons of just buying a single family home instead of a duplex?
Well, for the duplex, there's definitely that immediate return, right? So you have immediate cash flow. Okay. So, if you're looking at real estate investing, that's that instant benefit. I think single family homes can be a better long-term investment. So when you're looking, okay, I'm going to move in a couple of years, and then I'm going to rent this place out and purchase another bigger place. The people that will live in your single family home will probably stay a little bit longer. They'll pay a little bit more. They'll be a little bit more of that ideal tenant probably from what I would consider an ideal tenant. Okay. So
that's good to know. Good to know, especially when there's so many ways you can get started. Condos are actually pretty affordable right now. Then duplexes are really hard to find. I've been looking and like, there's really no duplexes.
Everybody loves duplexes.
Everybody bought them already.
So, condos, I caution against condos as an investment. Honestly, I shouldn't say any that.
It's your personal opinion.
It's a personal opinion. Because even a very similar condo to a very similar apartment, the condo is always harder to rent.
Really?
They're the hardest thing for me to rent.
Why?
because you don't get the amenities of an apartment, but you're paying for an apartment. So we tend to have a little bit stricter screening.
Mm-hmm.
So apartments will usually have maybe 2.5 times the rent for income.
Mm-hmm.
We always charge 3. And so it's just, when you have the higher credit requirements, higher income requirements,
Mm-hmm.
then it kind of takes the benefit of the apartment away when you have a condo.
Right.
And then you've got HOA fees.
Oh, yes. You have to consider HOA fees.
Yeah.
So whether you're buying a single family home or a condo, you have to pay attention to the HOA fees if they're within an HOA, which condos are. But single family homes can be too.
Rental caps are something to seriously consider too.
Yes. All right. How do I know that I need project management?
Project or property? So
thank you. Property management. PM has so many.
Which project? That's a big thing of what we do. We
Okay.
do that in the course of property management, right? On definitely a smaller scale than what a contractor would do.
Yeah.
But, we're doing projects, we're doing turnovers, we're helping coordinate roof repairs, exterior paint, interior paint.
Yeah.
Any kind of repair that your home needs, we help. Like, you can step away, go sip your coffee and wait for the money to hit your bank account while we coordinate all the repairs.
Yeah. So that's where the project management is needed. When do we need property management?
When you decide that your time is worth more than the few $100s a month a property manager would charge. Or, whatever that is. There's so many different ways that, we get our fees. Yeah. But there's going to be a fee, right? We don't. So you need to decide, okay, my time is worth more than this.
And one of the examples we were chatting about before we started recording was there's a plumbing leak. Me going to home, just because I can fix it, doesn't mean I should fix it.
That's where me and my husband struggle so much. We have remodeled our homes. I remodeled my duplex.
Yeah.
We remodeled his house. We remodeled a current house.
You know how to do stuff.
So I can do it. I can do everything.
Yeah.
I can't roof. I don't know how to roof. But I can, I can do sheetrock. I can do wiring. I can do minor plumbing. I can do anything that needs generally in turnover, I could do. But I'm at, I've got kids now, and I'm like, it's just not worth my time anymore.
Yeah.
What would take a plumber 1 hour to do would take me 4. And so it's just, is my time worth not paying a plumber or not paying a contractor? And so, or not paying a property manager. What is your time worth? That's so at some point, your time becomes more valuable. And I think that's something that we talk about a lot in the real estate industry is what is your time worth?
We do.
Because sometimes it's just so easy to cheapen it, right? Oh, I can do this or I can do that. But then eventually that's where you get burned out. And that's maybe where you don't want to be an investor.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why I don't go certain places. Like the drive is so long that by the time I get there and come back, and I probably have to go there about 5 times per transaction, just the time driving and the gas driving ate into my bottom line quite a bit, and it's no longer worth it. I can't see other clients while I'm driving. I can't write emails and respond to emails while I'm driving.
Hopefully not.
That's a big part of the job, so it doesn't work out anymore. So don't go to Chehalis. I don't go to Chehalis. It's way too far.
And that's why I have a footprint too. Yeah. So I have a Pierce County footprint. That's where I am. That's where I'm.
Stay right here.
I'm comfortable. It's anywhere in Pierce County is within a half hour of my office. There might be a couple of little places on the Key Peninsula that I can't get to, but pretty much.
Right. But those are rare and it's sort of doable, but yeah.
So, and that's what makes, creating your own parameters, like even with if you're purchasing a property too, what's doable for me? Where do I want to be? Yeah. Because some people, they'll say, oh, but this is such a great deal and it's in Chehalis. I can make that commute, but maybe it's not the right property. So instead of square peg, round hole, make it work for you.
Just because it's a good deal doesn't mean it's right for you. So true. You also mentioned before we started recording that you can get better deals on contractors than I can.
Generally.
Yeah. Because if I'm calling a plumber, he's just coming and he's going to have his minimum fee that he's coming for, a minimum of 30 minutes or an hour, whatever it is. But when you call a plumber, what do you get?
I call it our commercial pricing. So when I'm talking to people, I say we get commercial pricing. We're not a residential customer anymore. Yeah. We're a corporation and we call the same people over and over and over again. And so I've had it happen before where owners are like, I want to save some money and coordinate my own repairs. they get, by the time it's all said and done, it's a 6-figure remodel that I probably could have gotten done for 40.
Okay.
And much faster. It's always faster for me to do it. So, because we've worked with these people, we're a priority for these contractors. I am not a first-time client for this general contractor.
Yes.
Which it is so hard to find a good general contractor. But that's what we do every single day is we're screening and working with general contractors. So, one person, maybe for whatever reason we stop using, maybe they go out of business, they, things happen. And you just are always replenishing that vendor list.
Yes.
And we're doing that every single day.
Yeah.
So, we manage hundreds of rentals.
Right. Where if I call the last person who repaired an appliance, they may not be in business.
Yeah.
Now I have to go back to Facebook and ask my friends, who do you call for an appliance repairman? Now, being in this industry, I pay more attention, but I also haven't needed an appliance repair. Where you've had to call someone for appliance repair, every week?
And, and you go to your friends and you go to Facebook, but are those really good referrals?
Right.
Are you going to have the best experience with somebody just because they had a good experience? It's just, whereas we use these people over and over and over. Yeah. So.
Yep. They know you. Yeah. They know your phone number.
They do. Sometimes I wish I would forget it. But.
That's a good one. Do you... Okay, well, we made it to the end of our planned questions. Yeah. And we did cover some of the important things of where do you serve, where do you not serve. And you did mention what you do is you coordinate construction, you coordinate project management for any repairs and all of that stuff. And I'm assuming you collect rent and you handle evictions. What else do you do?
I think one of the most underrated things that we provide is statements.
Oh, so okay.
We collect and we remember every single work order you've had all year.
Okay.
And we send it to you at the end of the year.
Thank you.
And we send you a 1099 and you take this lovely packet over to your CPA and you say, this is my expenses. Do you know how much time that saves?
Yeah, I do, because I have to do it for myself right now.
You're not taking out invoices. We clip it together for you.
And it's done.
And it's done.
Oh.
So that's a little bit underrated, I think, so then the work order, obviously, work orders are a big reason why we get hired. People just don't want to deal with the work orders. Yeah. So that's, rent collection, but also those late payments, enforcing late payments. Do you know how easy it is when you're a one-off landlord to say, oh, it's okay this month, you weren't that late. But, for us, we say, nope, we have to treat everyone the same. Yeah. We are, it's more uniform. I was like, we treat everybody the same every time. Yeah. And so everybody, if you're not in by this designated time, you are late. Yeah. And there's no exceptions. And so we get more late fees. We get better rent collection. If we do end up in a worst case scenario, that happens faster than if you were doing it on your own. Because I even do it myself. I'm a property manager. I'm like, well, it's okay. They're fine. And then I have to remember, no, it's not fine. This is my job. I know. But it's just so easy because you're like, it's okay. I don't mind. Yeah. But it's just having that uniformity of this is our process. This is our procedure. Yeah. And we don't deviate. And so it's a lot easier to do when it's not your own property. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot fewer emotions going on when it's not your property. That's nice. But I do like to say that I treat all properties as if they're my own. And I think that's when you're looking for a property manager, maybe you're not in Pierce County, maybe you're in King or Thurston, you need a property manager, you just bought a duplex, you want them to manage that side or something. Finding somebody that actually owns rentals is, I think, a good key because they're a little bit more understanding of what you're going through, right? And so they're not just sending a work order out to send a work order out. They know this is your bottom line. And they're a little bit more sympathetic to that, I think. That's important. And if you ever I've heard of a few property managers that say, I would never own a rental property. Don't hire that person. They're not in it. Yeah. So, you want someone that really believes in what they're doing, right? Yeah. Any real estate agent, you want them to believe in what they're doing. Yes, so. That's so important. Is there anything you don't do? Well, there's a lot of stuff I don't do, but as far as property
what would
management,
you refer out, or you would just say that's not a good fit for me?
Outside of Pierce County, number one.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah. If I don't believe this is a safe, habitable home for somebody, I won't manage it.
Thank you.
So, and I strongly believe in service. I will always serve my clients. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. But I also believe in treating people kind of like the golden rule. Treat people how you want to be treated. And I treat my tenants fairly. And I take that very seriously because, you know, it can be so easy to turn it into a paycheck or a number or whatever. Yeah. But, you know, these are people's homes. And so I think if a client isn't understanding of that, we wouldn't be a good fit for each other. Because there is a bottom line, but there's more to it than that for sure.
There has to be. That's awesome. Yay.
Yeah.
Is there any questions that we haven't asked but you think people should know about property management and getting started?
Well, I think the first thing we touched on was that affordability is the biggest thing. You know, can you afford it? That's your number one question. If you want to get into property management or you want to get into investing, it's risky. And so, you know, just really thinking about that before you get into it, because that's where so many other of the normal problems that you hear about with property management kind of snowball from that affordability too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think so. Awesome. Well, so if you need property management or you want to talk more about investing, then it's really easy to reach Kirsten because we'll have all your contact information in our show notes. And do you have any social media that you also maintain, or is it mostly, nope, call me, email me, and let's get started?
Just call me, email me, let's get started.
Let's do it.
You know, Suburban Realty. So that's my, you know, if you contact Suburban Realty, we will take care of you. So.
That's a great tagline. Yeah. We should do that every time. We'll take care of you. Yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much for listening. And this episode was edited and produced by Will Robs. Thanks, Will, for doing a great job today.
Thank you.